Let us say hello to Abraham Kawa, who is joining us for the first time on this program via the magic of Skype, just sort of chilling back and saying, it's about damn time. That's the look that you have on your face right now. Is that an accurate assessment?
Dude, after that opening, I don't know how I'm supposed to even go. I might as well just end it right there. There's no way I can live up to that right there. That was pretty good. That was really, really good.
Well, I appreciate you being on, and I also appreciate the fact that Malky is nowhere in sight because he is a bit of a camera hog. This is good. I like that he's giving you your time.
He's actually late, so it's okay. Eventually, he will be here, but I think he's just running late. And if he doesn't show up, it's okay.
This is good. This is good. How is he late and we're late? We're 20 minutes late, and he's also late. So, like, he almost missed the boat completely.
My brother, God bless his soul, he's one of the busiest guys I know. If he's not the busiest guy ever. I mean, he's extremely busy. So God knows he was in the middle of a meeting, and those meetings typically go from 1 hour to 2 hours to 3 hours. And then, they usually work out for us. So it's a good thing. It's just he's extremely busy.
Okay. So we have a lot to talk about, Abe. I have noticed, I don't know, maybe it's the last 2 years, because Malky has been a mainstay for as long as I've been covering the sport, for the last decade or so. And I've noticed in the last 2 to 3 years, you have become a lot more visible at the events. You're at more events, but just in terms of like the day-to-day stuff, I see what he's doing with the NFL, and he's talked about that on this show. But it seems like you have been sort of heading up more of the MMA side of things for FRM. Is that accurate? And if so, why did that happen?
It is. And, you got to think. My brother's always said many times, even on your show, he goes, the fox that hunts 2 rabbits doesn't eat rabbit stew. The fox that hunts 1 rabbit typically ends up with that rabbit and gets to eat. So the way this kind of worked out was we were both kind of doing everything at the same time. There was a lot of chaos, controlled chaos, but it was chaos. So now the way this works is he's going, I don't want to say strictly NFL, because it would be unfair for me to say that my brother is not involved at the very top of stuff when it comes to contract negotiations and whatnot in the UFC. But on the day-to-day stuff and the stuff that the guy needs, the fighters they need, and that kind of stuff, it's all going to run through me. And on the other side of it, my brother deals with the NFL guys because that's his thing. That's his baby. That's, where we started off together many, 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 many moons ago. And, he's brilliant at what he does, and it works. And we found that this actually works way better than both of us just kind of doing each one of the things and, kind of running around with our heads cut off.
Did you join him later on, or did you both launch the company together?
We launched the company together back in 2007, and in between 2007 and 2012, I sort of went this way, he sort of went that way, and it was just, personal stuff that happened, nothing bad, just, he was doing this, he really, really focused on the agency, and I was focusing on some other things, and then come 2012, I got a phone call out of the blue, and my brother said, man, dude, why don't you do this with me? And I was like, well, I love this. I would call him during every UFC fight before he was involved in the UFC. I would call him, and we were always talking, just go through it. And the way it kind of ended up happening was he knew I loved it. I guess I was telling him I wanted to be a part of it without kind of telling him I wanted to be a part of it. And he finally just said, hey, why don't you come on board and do this? We made the most money in our lifetime together. Why don't we just do it again? I said, let's do it.
And working with your brother, because I know, my family, we have some packs where the family works together. It doesn't always work out. What is it like? Like, I can't imagine working with my brother. Love my brothers, but I just can't imagine working with them. What is it like working with your brother in at times like a volatile sport, right? There's emotions involved.
So he's my best friend. So with that being said, you treat the friendship as a friendship and the business as a business. If I'm slacking somewhere, I get yelled at just like anybody else. You get yelled at by your boss, so on and so forth. If I do good, it's, hey, you're doing good. It's tough, but I understand my brother. And at the end of the day, if 2 people have the same vision in a relationship, in a marriage, and in business, if 2 people have the same exact vision, you can kind of get rid of all the other stuff. All that extra noise doesn't really matter. The vision is, hey, we want to be the best. We want to have the best fighters. We want to have the best football players. We want to have everything that we can, the best we possibly could do. Everything else is just white noise. You kind of figure all that stuff out easy. It's not that big a deal. You keep that vision in mind, everybody's happy.
How's the MMA business these days?
And I got to say, we're doing pretty good. And, hopefully Saturday we got another champion under our banner. I think that'll be the first time. I don't want to jinx anything, so I'm just going to, keep it the way it is. But if we do get another champion under our banner, that would be a pretty impressive run where we'd have, the 125 champion, 170 champion, 185 champion, and in my book, still the 205 champion.
I was waiting for how you would say that.
He's still a champ to me. There's nobody else, and that to me that would be a huge accomplishment to have that many guys.
And I also ask, like, from a business standpoint, because there was a time, when your brother was very much involved, there were sponsorship, there's things like that. Those days aren't as, they aren't as, at least if you're in the UFC, if you got Bellator guys, PFL, whatever, but that part of the game isn't around these days. Do you take a hit when they got rid of all sponsors?
Yeah, absolutely. My brother, but we were prepared for it. My brother said this a couple of years back, I think, on your show. I think you were actually doing an interview with him after or before Johnny Bones fight, and I remember this interview clearly where you made the comment that I think you saw Gatorade on Jon's banner or shorts or whatever it may be, and you asked him about that, and and you guys got into the whole sponsorship thing. My brother said to everybody, "Hey, listen, this idea of having all these sponsors, it's going to be gone in a couple of years. We're going to become pretty much uniform, where they are going to strike a deal with Nike, they are going to strike a deal with Reebok or Under Armour, whoever was going to be at the time." And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. The UFC is turning more into a league kind of system, so we've got to adjust accordingly. So we were prepared for that. There's things to still help. It's not the same. I will not sit here and tell you sponsorships are exactly the same. They're not. They really are not. You don't have that platform to go around and say, hey, look, UFC is going to be on Fox, has 1 million viewers or whatnot. You would pay for this amount, doing this way. You don't have that. So you got to do it a little bit differently. It's very similar to what boxing does. And if you kind of have an idea of how the boxers get their sponsorship, you can kind of make it work the same way.
Okay. All right. So you just have to be a little more creative.
Absolutely.
All right. You've mentioned him a couple of times, so I'd be remiss if I don't ask you about Johnny Bones. What can you tell us about Mr. Jon Jones? Break some news for us, Abe. Give us something. What's up with him? I see him on Twitter all the time.
He's alive and well, and
yes.
He's in a good place. He's alive and well. He's in a good place. He's anxious to get back more than anything. I think people say you get that itch. He's got an itch, man. It's bad. So I actually feel bad for the next guy that fights him. I really do. Not saying that he's going to take out all on him, but he's sharpening up his tools to where if you thought he was good before, wait until you see him now. That kind of.
Now, what could you tell us about because I get asked almost every day. We saw the California State hearing, and now we're waiting for USADA because that's what they said, right? What could you tell us?
Yeah.
When could we expect some kind of news about him? What's taking so long? What could possibly be taking so long here?
It's complicated, and when I say it's complicated because USADA does a very good job. People are begging on them and hating on them and doing what. There's things I do not agree with USADA. I've told them, behind closed doors, the things that I don't agree with, but USADA does a very good job. They've done a very good job cleaning up the sport. It's imperative that they get this right. It's imperative that they get this case right because of who Jon is, And I think they're doing the best they can to get it right. And with that being said, I'm confident that, we will have a decision soon. I just don't want to put a date on it and say it's going to come down at this time. It's going to come down at this time. I just don't think that's fair to them. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to Jon.
Okay.
So I'll just say that it will. There is a decision coming, and it's hopefully sooner rather than later.
You feel good? You're hopeful? Is it fair to say hopeful?
You got a coin in your pocket, take it out, flip it.
Okay.
Decision on either side. I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like I said, I think USADA's trying their hardest to make this the right decision because it does hold a lot of water. So I think that's why it's taking the time to stay.
He is going to fight again, though, right? I mean, like, we haven't seen the last of Jon Jones.
Oh man, I can tell you right now, this guy is, GSP coming back, winning the belt after 4 years. You got to imagine, Jon. As soon as he found out about the news, he was already like, all right, I'm done for 4 years, done for whatever the time frame was in his mind. He was already gone. So when he saw GSP do what he did, it actually lit a fire under him. And he said, man, you know what? If he can do that after 4 years, why can't I? Why can't I go out there and do that or whatever it may be? So Jon never once did he say, I'm going to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm sure he may have thought that before, but in terms of actual, coming down to it, I don't think he's there where he's like, no, I'm never doing this anymore. I think he actually wants to fight.
Can I ask what's his dream scenario? Like, is it beating up Cormier? Is it Stipe? Like, what is the dream scenario for the return?
It's funny. It's funny you bring up DC. An ESPN writer now. Oh, congratulations, by the way, Ariel.
Oh, thanks.
Part of the month. Congratulations. An ESPN writer called me and they were like, can we get a few quotes from Jon in regards to DC? He's going to be on the cover of I guess ESPN the magazine, or they have featuring in the magazine or whatnot. And I said, well, why do you want quotes from Jon? And she goes, well, because their stories are so intertwined. Without Cormier, there's no Jon. And I said, whoa, okay. I could tell where ESPN needs to hire Ariel ASAP right now. Jon's story is not tied to DC. I think DC's story is tied to Jon. No knock on DC. I just think that's the way it's kind of worked out. Jon's story is way more, I don't want to say complicated, but it's just he's got way more to him than just DC.
Sure.
So I think that's where it goes.
Fair.
So, it's just more to him than that. So I would say his dream scenario, man, I think first everything was gonna have to be timing, right? Like until we know when he's able to come back, then we could say, okay, what do we want to do? Where's it gonna be? I know that some ideas were out there. I would love my personal thing would be give me the winner of DC and Stipe at heavyweight, not even at 205.
Yeah.
But Jon may have the idea of he just wants to fight at 205. But I mean, I would love to see Stipe versus Jon. I think that would be a fabulous fight.
Like I said before you came on, you have an incredible client roster, one of the very best in the game. I've written down some key names. Could I ask you things about these key names?
Sure.
Well, first, let me ask you about Jessica Aguilar, because she was supposed to fight on Friday, and then moments before the fight, she was pulled. What could you tell us about this situation? She's saying chapped lips. Other sources are saying it's a little more than that. What is the story on Jessica Aguilar?
I'll give you facts. I've got two tests that came back saying she has nothing. She's getting another one done today, just to kind of like for own peace of mind, for no other reason than just peace of mind, right? So I've got two tests that say Jessica Aguilar has absolutely nothing. It is the worst way I can think of telling a fighter they can't fight. If you thought a fighter has something, and then you send them to a doctor that is just a random doctor out in the city that you're in, and you're basically saying that doctor's word is no longer good, I don't know what we could have done to make this better. And I give props to the UFC. I give props to the medical staff there. They went and moved on it real quick as soon as the commission did that. And I do think New York is going to get it right eventually. I just think there's certain people that are there right now that don't understand what they're doing, honestly, not even the sport, just what they're doing in general. It's shameful, man. It's shameful that Jessica didn't deserve that. She deserved to be able to go out there and fight. Her first fight in Texas got canceled. Again, not her fault. She was ready to fight. Gets pushed down to Utica. She's ready to fight, and then the day of the fight, you're told, hey, you can't fight because we don't believe you have chapped lips. That's kind of messed up, man. In a lot of ways, it's kind of messed up. So, in terms of what's with her, the UFC is going to take care of her. They're going to make sure she's, okay. They're going to rebook that fight for her, hopefully sooner rather than later again. The longer it takes, the worse it is for Jessica. So we're talking to him. I think Mick's doing a good job. He's going to figure out a time. He really likes Jess, so it should work out.
Is she getting paid at all for this?
They're gonna, let me just say they're gonna take care of her in a way to where she's actually, because this is the second fight. This isn't one of those things where it's just like, oh my God, my person got taken off the card or whatever it may be. It wasn't like that. She showed up to fight. She was there at the arena and then told, no, you can't fight. The craziest thing in the world.
Okay. Next week is the start of the second season of Dana White's Contender Series, and on that card is a man by the name of Greg Hardy. He is a polarizing figure in the world of sports, dating back to his football days. You represent Greg Hardy.
Yes.
Was this a tough decision for you, given the accusations?
You could go up and down. I think my brother answered this with you live, a couple interviews back.
Yeah, but you're not your brother, so I want to ask you.
Yeah, but it's kind of the way we feel because if you go down the list of my guys that I have, I think not everybody. I mean, stop there. But the guys that I have, a lot of guys would just discount them and say, hey, this guy's, listen, I've been asked to drop Jon Jones. I have been asked to drop Jon Jones. And I look at these people and I'm like, man, like if this is your friend, if this was your friend and your friend is being, accused of something or even if he's done something or whatnot, would you not stand with your friend? And, when he looks at me, he's like, well, I guess I see what you're saying. I go, it's not easy for me. So I'm quick to give that person a second chance. I'm always quick to say, well, the circumstances may not be what they seem to be in the news. And then when you sit there and you talk and you get the full thing, and then you read the reports and you read everything that comes out, you say, yeah. I mean, thank God he took the time to actually do that. Most people don't do that. And I've seen on Twitter, I've seen on social media, I've seen on all these things. It's, it's not fair. It's not fair. Everybody swore Yoel Romero was juicing. Everybody swore that. I can tell you right now, I looked him dead in the eye. He looked me dead in the eye. He goes to me, man, I don't need that. I said, okay, I believe you. He said, I do not need that. I've been doing this for 20-something years. I've never needed it. What makes me need it now? I said, you know what? You're right. I got you. I go to bat for him just like the same way I go to bat for Greg. So in terms of a tough decision, it's tough when you're first presented with it. But then again, once you sit down and you read the facts, you go to yourself, this is a no-brainer. It's okay.
When's Demetrious Johnson going to fight? What's going on with DJ?
And I'm hoping August, and we're hoping it's going to be August.
That card, the August 4th card in LA?
We're trying for that time in August, yeah.
And if he wins that fight against Cejudo, do you think that he will fight the winner of TJ and Cody? Are we going to get that fight?
I don't know if there's another clear contender at 125. I mean, Sergio, another one of my clients, is fighting this week against Benavidez. If he beats Benavidez, I think maybe he may be the guy that's right there to fight DJ. He's a new face and new flavor that could be there to fight DJ. If not, we'll sit down with the UFC and we'll figure out if they've got a plan for the because what if TJ beats Cody again, right? What are you going to do with the 135-pound division? You're going to give him Marlon? What are you going to do? Now if Cody beats TJ, I think you got other guys there that can actually it's new names for Cody. I think I'm not really sure, but it's a weird thing to me. My preference would be let one of those guys come down to 125 and challenge DJ for the belt. I think that would be a huge fight. It's a true fight for the 125 belt. It'll give a boost to the division. Everybody will be excited about a 125-pound fight. I don't know. That's just my own take on it. I've spoken to them before in the past. We'll see if it comes out that way.
Tyron Woodley, the welterweight champion, says he's ready to return in August, yet there's an interim title fight happening on Saturday. When will he return and against who?
So Tyron, I feel for Tyron, man. A lot of you guys don't understand, but I really feel for Tyron, dude. That guy fought 4 times in 1 year. Never really actually complained. Everybody thinks every time we were offered a fight, he said yes. And then you look at his opponents, they complain about Tyron being, his fights, this and that. Well, I could go down the list. Stephen Thompson, his last 3 fights all went the distance, right? Or 4 fights went the distance, right? All 4 of them, all 4 of them went the distance. Mm-hmm. Damian Maia, his last 3 fights went the distance. Mm. Am I right or am I wrong? You're way better at this than I am.
Yeah.
So I would assume the winner of RDA versus Colby would more than likely be fighting Tyron. I've said this already a couple times. If Colby beats RDA, there's probably a chance for a quick turnaround. And the reason why I say that is because the style of the fight, I think it would be a quick turnaround. If RDA beats Colby, I think it may be a different kind of time frame.
Okay, but does Tyron fight Colby? Because he's been pretty adamant about not wanting to fight him, not wanting to give him that shine because of some of the things said. Would he fight him if he's the interim champion?
But I think if he's the interim champion, I think we have no regardless. Okay. I think that's who the guy is, right? I mean, I don't think you're going to hear. I from what I understand, I don't think Tyron's going to be like, oh my God, it's Colby, I can't fight. Tyron's never been like that about anybody. He just always wanted. He wants to, cement himself as the greatest 170-pounder there ever lived. And if you're not given those opportunities, how are you supposed to do that?
I have this feeling that they're going to try to do, or that they should do, Darren Till versus Jorge Masvidal. Is there a chance this happens? Are you interested in this fight?
I'll tell you what, Jorge is a beast. That guy does not care who he fights, when he fights. That guy will say yes to everybody and anybody. Which, by the way, I'm glad you brought up Darren Till, because what ended up happening that date with Darren Till versus Stephen Thompson was the one thing Jorge did not want to have happen to himself. He will never say this publicly, but I know him personally. He would never show up to a fight and miss weight. He finds that to be the most unprofessional thing in the world. This is not a knock on Till. This is him saying why that date wasn't working for him. He was not going to show up and miss weight. That's why he said to Neil Magny, hey, let's take a fight at 180 pounds or 180 whatever pounds at the time. He understands that if you sign up for a 170-pound fight, I've got to be 170. Sign up for 185, I got to be 185. He understands that, so he's very, very professional when it comes to that. If Darren Till's available sometime around August, I think you will have no problem booking that fight whatsoever. If the UFC wants it, if the fans want it, I think that's a fight Jorge would be more than willing to take. I also know that if RDA loses, that's a fight Jorge would jump all over tomorrow. If Damian Maia wants to give him a rematch, that's the one Jorge will take tomorrow. If Kamaru Usman hands are okay, I'm not really sure if they're. I mean, I think he said they're not broken on your show now.
Yeah.
He thought they were broken, so I'm glad they're not broken. If that's the case, then I think he would do that as well. I think so.
Okay. Rapid fire now. All right. Yes or no? Will BJ Penn fight again?
Don't know.
Don't know. There's not an option. Carlos Condit.
I'll say yes.
Yes. Carlos Condit.
Carlos. Yes, and he wants a fight in November, December.
Okay, that is great. Justin Willis, will he re-sign with the UFC?
My gut says yes, 100%. Absolutely. I think he's.
Given what happened to Leslie Smith, are Cajun Johnson's days numbered in the UFC? And are you worried about
I want to say no. No, I think Cajun. No, I don't. And I think he'll be okay.
Okay.
I think he'll be okay. Yeah.
What does the future, and this is not yes or no, but I'll end on this one because, he's a mainstay on our program. What does the future hold for Mr. Mike Platinum Perry?
So he is at Jackson's.
Yes.
He's training over there. He's got a fight with Yancy Medeiros coming up in July. I think if Mike, takes everything that he's learning and actually, puts it into plan and executes his game plan, I think, you got a guy who is polarizing. I think he's a guy that can actually be one of the top guys in the world. I really do. I really believe he's athletically gifted.
Is that his new team?
For this camp, I believe it is going to be his team for this camp. It doesn't mean that he's lost his ties in Orlando. Those guys all treat him very, very well. He knows that, and he loves those guys. So I don't think it's just more of a let's just see what happens kind of thing.
Okay, fair enough. I'm so happy for a couple of reasons that we finally got you on the program, that you were able to, set aside some time for us because you're such a busy guy. I'm also happy that Malky never showed up. I remember a time where he used to beg me to come on the show. Now he's blowing it by 30 minutes. So, he's such a important
He's called
figure.
me 3 times since I've been on.
Good. So let's wrap this up so he doesn't make a cameo. And I wish you guys the best on Saturday. You have Yoel and Sergio. Anyone else? Oh, you have Chris De La Rocha too, right?
And Andrei Arlovsky.
Freaking Andrei Arlovsky. Please don't tell him I forgot to say Andrei Arlovsky. Andrei Arlovsky against Tai Tuivasa. What a fight. Yes. Wow. What a comeback for Andrei. So you'll be in Chicago?
I will be in Chicago tomorrow. Yep.
All right. I'll see you there. Great stuff, Abe. I really appreciate this. I wish you guys have always been great to me. I wish you nothing but the best from here on out. Continued success to both you, your brother, the whole team. And of course, good luck this weekend, not only in the main event, but the entire card for you guys.
Thank you. I really appreciate you.